Got some people coming in. Gonna give them some time. Give them some time. All right. So one of the things I wanted to get into is it seems like there's a little bit of a confusion about men and women who travel, especially when they get into black men and women who travel. So the thing about it is, if you talk about like a passport, bro, if you want to use those kind of terms, it all boils down to the reason why anyone will want to leave their country and go to another country, particularly because they don't like the way the social structure is set up, or the laws are set up in a certain country, because people travel for all kinds of reasons. One of the main reasons why people do travel, especially coming from America, men, is we want a little bit more freedom in the way we want to live our lives. We want to feel safe whenever we make a choice in our social life. Um, we want the freedom of sexist laws that cater to the softer sex, to say the least. And if you actually think about it, if you actually focus on why men travel from the United States to go to another country, like, Africa, Colombia, South America, or Europe, it doesn't matter. We're all over the place. Uh, you really have to take into consideration that we're leaving a system that favors women. So why would women leave the United States and go to another country and expect better, when most of the countries that we travel to, it does not favor women? So if you hear about a woman traveling from the United States and she goes to another country and has a bad experience, it's almost like, yeah, it's pretty, it's expected, because you have to look at the laws, you have to look at the social structures. And if you understand that what we're benefiting from is women who are more appreciative of men, especially men like us who are actually chivalrous. That's why things are so easy for women in the United States, because we really are chivalrous. That's why you get away with so many of the things you get away with, is because we let you. And as a result of that, we allow you to abuse our laws and take advantage of us, and actually take us to the cleaners. And child support laws, divorce laws, they 100% favor you. So why would you leave? It makes no sense. Everything about America benefits you. Why do you think the main reason why they try to criticize us men who travel is they only like you because you're money and they want to get a green card? So why would they get a green card? So why would they want to get a green card? Because America is better for women. And I guess they would wonder, like, why would you want to travel over here? You're going to live the same life as we do. So you're going to be mixing in with us, as you say, want a green card to go where you're going. You have money. So why would you come over here? Our men don't treat us very well. That's part of the reason why we appreciate your men so well. I mean, you really got to think about it. I mean, come on, it's common sense. Have you did any research? I don't think a lot of the women do a lot of research. I think their research is through us. They go, oh, I could do better than that. We could one up y'all. I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna show y'all that we could do the same thing. No, you can't. Why would you? What same thing are you talking about? You got men lined up in the United States, and you ain't even that hot. So what are you leaving the United States for? What is there for you to benefit from, let's say, a really controversial country? Let's say all of South America, Brazil and Colombia. Did you do any research? All the women who are going there, did you do any research? Please, I would love for women to describe what they feel would be the benefit of going to Brazil, Colombia, and Thailand. I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to mention countries like Kenya because you're not competing with them women. Okay, you're not. I'm just going to end it there. I'm gonna let you do your own research. However, if you're not going over there to try to one up us or compete with us, you're going over there for the cultural experience and to just be around your people. You know, I know they try to say they're not our people, but we're looking at it as, you know, just black and white. We're all black, and so we have a camaraderie. The world is against us, and so when we look at each other, you just say, okay, you know, you give that nod in the head that we see each other. We know where we at in this world. So when Black people go to Kenya, it's expected that we should see each other like that. And as someone who's been to Kenya, I can say I got that feeling. I feel so good out there. You know, I just feel so good out there. If you go there for that, or go to Ghana, or you know, Zimbabwe, or whatever you want to go for that cultural experience, you're gonna love it. You're gonna have the time of your life. So in that sense, when you're going for reasons that make sense in terms of the country that you're going to, you really are going to have a good time. You're going to have a great time. You're going to be fulfilled and, you know, kind of connected with your roots. Not exactly. I mean, we don't. They broke all that up during slavery. They destroyed those lines, but people have, you know, DNA, you know, 23andMe, whatever. They have ways of tracking and tell you exactly that, hey, you know what? No, actually, no, you know, you're from Cameroon or you're from Zimbabwe. You know, wherever you know, whatever the case may be, they'll track it that, you know, you don't know where you're from. So until you really do some serious research. What's up, Philly? Hey, I'm having trouble actually making a connection so that people could come on and we can have this discussion. Eventually, I'm gonna kind of get that right. So that's kind of what I wanted to put there. I want us all to kind of come in and talk about this together. That's why I put it in the chat. So I'm having a little trouble putting that up because I put it on there and try to connect it and it wasn't connecting. So, but let me keep going until I figure that out. So I'm gonna be making pauses to see if it's set up right. Until then, I'm just gonna keep going. So let me keep rolling. But like I said, one of the attacks that we've been experiencing is that we're going to these countries and they call us they've actually made comparisons of us traveling to colonizers. I gotta say, that's some extreme talk, and you got to take a step back and look within yourself before you say something like that. Because anybody in their right state of mind that would look back at themselves saying something like that about Black men going to another country, let's put it on the basics, to seek relations with women in another country for the list of reasons that I stated: marriage laws, child support laws, and women who are more appreciative of chivalrous men. Those are the basics. Those are the basics. And you really have to you know, pay respect to that. Because if you look at through you know, who's divorcing in the United States, child support abuse, how hard it is for decent men to get a date, being used for free meals, and the list goes on and on and on. You would be a fool to tell someone stay in the United States and do not take advantage of being able to live your life comfortably in another country, even though you're completely financially and uh, uh, suave enough to move about a country and learn as you go, because that's not easy to do. You have to be pretty cunning and be able to do that. That's very hard to do. A lot of people need to study, learn the language, learn the culture before they even get there, or the culture shock is going to be overwhelming. I'm sorry, but for people in the United States that sees my video and say, you know what, I want to travel. I want to go to another country and start my life. Start your life? Begin a new life? Okay. Why are you leaving? And as they explain, both men and women, and the person who's been to that country starts to compare those options. And soon as that scale starts to move a little bit, you got to wonder. I think maybe you should stay in the United States for a little bit longer. And here's a list of things I think you should take into consideration to research before you decide to go to these countries. They go, why? Because these countries, it's not America. There are privileges and resources you will no longer have access to when you go to that other country. Women, the laundry list of privileges, access to resources, social norms that you will not be able to take with you, no matter how big your suitcase is pretty enormous. Many of y'all go blindly into these other countries, and I know why you're doing it. Some of y'all are making $200,000-$300,000 a year. You got $300,000-$400,000 in your bank account, and you figure with that you will not have any problems whatsoever. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but most of the problems that people have when they travel for months and years on end are not exactly financial. Those are people who are not very smart. You're making $200,000-$300,000 a year. You're probably pretty smart, so you can figure things out. But the problems that people have when they go to other countries is they fail to fully understand the laws, because when they look at the foreign laws, they look at them from American perspective. But you got to understand, a lot of the laws in other countries are actually created through their own religion. So you probably should have an understanding of both. And the other thing, the reason why is the other thing that people have is they can't get around the cultural norms from the partner that they're trying to start a life with. And there are privileges that you're going to lose, that you have these privileges because of the way the laws are set up in the United States. But because you're so oblivious to it, and I'm just going to keep it 100, you're so ignorant to that you just don't, you just take it for granted. It's like, this is the way things are. And that's why you actually think that men have more privileges than you do. Any woman who says that is probably someone who's going to have a lot of problems when they go to another country. Because you're probably going to think that you go to these other countries and you say men are all the same and things are going to be. However, because I'm this American girl and I'm successful and I'm that it girl, and I'm this is what I am. I'm this top person in the United States, and you're going to carry that, and this guy in this other country is going to be like, wow, I get the opportunity to date this high profile American girl. You got a rude awakening, and unfortunately, a lot of you do experience those rude awakenings. What's good, brother? I'm trying to open the panel sooner or later, but I'm kind of cooking right now, though. I'm still cooking. Not a lot of people in, but that's all good. This is gonna be one of those videos that I like post, but I like posting it through a live because I like the open panel, because I like hearing what people think. If anybody out, got a question and you in there, just ask me, and or if I said something that kind of catches your attention. But I should have did this live a long time ago. I really should have did this live a long time ago. You never know, I might save some lives with this. But let me keep cooking. The other thing too that women really far short of, and actually this is happening in Thailand, you guys. You're having kids um with, you know, one of the local men, and you're so oblivious that you don't know that there's no real protections. There's a reason why a lot of these countries that we go to, you see a bunch of women walking around with, you know, kids, and they're drop dead gorgeous, and the guy's nowhere to be found because there's absolutely nothing they can do about it. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. It's like that in some parts of Europe as well. Now, there's laws put in place, but they don't enforce them very good. In the United States, you can practically get a whole army after the guy. It feels like that too, and you're gonna win. It's real hard to get away with it. You know, the only guys who get away with it is the women's, you know, who get a little extreme, and you let the woman know it's probably going to be some dangers if you try to go to court and try to put this child support thing on me. And even they don't get away with it. That's not something I feel comfortable talking about. But um, there, you will find yourself running around with that kid, and you go to the courts, and they'll laugh at you. Well, not really laugh at you in your face. They will laugh at you. In other words, they're not going to take you're a foreigner and you're having trouble. You really think we're going to go after one of our locals for you? There's no reason to. Um, However, if they do take action, and sometimes they do take a little bit of action, depending the status of the woman in that country. The higher her status, the more likely you're going to have to deal with something. Keep in mind, I just said woman. It's a man. They're not going to do anything. We can't really just go to these countries and just knock up somebody, knock up a woman, and just kind of just walk. So they really more so go after the men. And again, that's what those privileges that I was talking about. But the number one factor that is the difference between men, especially and just black men and black women who travel, is the privileges that women have in the United States are enormous, and they are non-existent in other countries. Parts of Africa is probably your closest. But I got to tell you, those African guys are not going to put up with what we put up with in the United States. There's no reason for them to. Not to mention, they have options. They have options. Africa is filled with black women that will take your breath away. And the more and more brothers in the United States are starting to find that out. Shout out to Austin. You know, this is why we got people. Shout out to my boy Troy. You know, who never left, and they don't plan to. And I've been there, and I see why. If you know how you always see these shows where they have women on a panel, and you have women who are atrocious looking, and they said I'm a 10, and they say, why do you think you're a 10? And they go, well, it's about how I feel. I was like, who cares how you feel? Now, what if a man say, no, I'm a 10. I get any woman I want. I'm fly, I'm sexy. I can go to an NBA party, you know, fill a number of NBA players and pull out the baddest woman there. We don't think that. Now, our confidence is based on what the field that and we know we can play at. You know, we get fresh, haircut is fresh, you know, we clean up, we come out smiling, we know, but we still know the field we can play in. Okay, you got some young knuckleheads that do see you know, brothers overseas doing very well, and they just see them do the video, and some beautiful girl comes sit on their lap, and they go, well, if he could do it, man, I could do it. And they go over there blindfolded, no research, no consultations, and they just run out there and they start being American, and they go, and then they go on the video, man, y'all was lying. Man, it's whack out there. And when you really look at it, you find out the dude is a straight clown. I think when women go to these countries and they fail like that and they do the same thing is the reason why they don't really talk about it too much. And there's a lot more than what y'all think. Not everybody's doing a YouTube video. The reason why is because it's embarrassing. Because what it does is it shuts them up. How are you going to keep saying things about men, especially us, if you go to another country and they treat you exactly the same, if not worse? And then while you're sitting, like, you got 2 more days, we say, I'm out of here. And you're sitting down in the park, whatever, eating your bonbons with shades on, probably because you got punched in the face. But anyway, no, I'm just kidding. And eating your bonbons, and you see these same caliber of men in these countries, not foreigner. I mean, not us as the foreigners, but the locals. And you see them with women that look just like you, and they're treating them like gold, and they're treating them very well, and they got wedding rings on, they're smiling, they're kissing, and you're wondering, why wasn't I able to get in on that? Until you figure that out, ladies, do not travel to become a passport cis. Because I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't matter how much money you're making and your status in the United States, because they're not going to care. Why would they care if we don't care? We keep telling y'all over and over again, we do not care about that stuff when we're choosing a woman. That is why you can come into a event, Gucci and Louis Vuitton up, smelling Chanel, nails done, hair did, all that, skin glowing, whatever. And we choose the bartender who only is she's just got a job bartending because she went to school for it. She works at McDonald's. And not only did the top dude choose her, we was all lined up trying to get her number, and the only girl we were talking about was her. And there's like 30 of you there. Why do you think that happens? Notice I said happens, because it happens all the time. Doesn't happen a lot. It happens all the time. All the time, all the time. The only dudes you can get with that are leeches. And then when they use you, you get on YouTube and you start complaining and saying all men are this, that, and the third, because that guy treated you like that when you knew that he would. If you go to another country, it's going to be times 30. And go to another country is going to be times 30. I've met some of these women that had these bad experiences. Okay? I met some of these women that had a bad experience. Ladies, what is the benefit? What is the leg up? What is the leg up? What is the leverage that you're getting, that you believe that you'll benefit from if you go to any of the countries that any of us talk about? What is the leverage? If you believe that the quality of men are better over there, talk about that. That's something to brag about. These men in this country are this, and this. But you also need to say American men ain't this, and this. So it's going to have to be more about you are able to get these better men that you believe are not found in the United States, and that's why you're traveling. You ain't going to find too many countries with men like us. You're not. Chivalrous, appreciative, wealthy, willing to marry a 5 or a 6, put up with her crap, constantly maintaining chivalry and respect throughout the relationship, even though you're not. Marriage, relationship, then marriage. Strong-willed, hard-working to a wife that is lazy. And then they're the ones who divorce you because they want something better. And then they come back and say, I messed up. I want my hubby back. Actually, she did a girl trip throughout the world, getting ran through. There is no comparison of passport bro and passport sis. In a nutshell, there is no passport sis. I'm sorry. And when I say sis, I'm not just talking about black women. I'm talking about American women, because I'm American. So I really make the comparison to American women. All right. A visual, that's exactly kind of what I'm pointing at. She knows, I know that she went she went to Kenya, and her hopes was to go get some tall, dark skinned model looking Kenya dude who's got a a great career, and he's just like the kind of guy, the kind of Kenyan that will come to America and clean all the way up. Well, you got to compete. You got to compete with Kenyan women. What do you think? What do you think you out here? Who do you think you're competing to? It's as if they think they're coming out here to compete with us. That doesn't make any sense. Think about it. What if I said I'm gonna go to Kenya and I'm gonna show that I can do better than the black women are doing in Kenya. I'm gonna compete with black women who travel from the US to Kenya to show that I can get a better black women in Kenya than what you can get in a Kenyan man. First of all, I can. and, and second of all, it doesn't make any sense. Um, you do have, all right, this is the honest truth. There are men who don't do well in the United States, believe they can go overseas and do better. In truth, many have done that. Many have gone to other countries and did much, much better. But when they say they're doing better, they're not necessarily talking about their dating social life is all around better than what they can get in the United States. That's kind of what I'm saying, but not exactly. When they say better, they're talking about how they're treated. I'm gonna go find a woman that's gonna treat me better and actually appreciate me. These are men who actually know their worth. And they know when they get the right one, they can finally open their heart and be the chivalrous partner that they were raised to be. Remember, we're raised to be very good to women. Women are not raised to be good to men in the United States. None of us raise our daughters that way. We raise our daughters to be independent, successful, educated, and hard to get. And we want the best of the best, the cream of the crop to get our girls. We all do it. And then we end up having to deal with it. I'm sorry, man, but I've always believed that. And I know that because I know how I'll raise my daughter. But we all do make efforts to make sure that she doesn't end up with a playboy. But if you're not careful, and you really have to thread, it's a really, really small needle you have to thread to try to say, be very successful, and still at the same time appreciate good men like me, pops. And you sitting there saying, well, how do I thread that? I don't have any kids, so I'm inexperienced in that sense. But I do know that if I had a daughter, I know exactly how I would raise her, and that's the truth. I don't even have any kids, and I know that I would do that. But then we grew up and we have to deal with them. Am I talking about that we're all raising snobby, stuck-up daughters? No, no. What I'm saying is that we're not necessarily raising our daughters to be the kind of women that we're seeking overseas. Now, I know that's controversial, but at the same time, we are trying to make our daughters to, at the same time, be successful and be very, very ideal wives for some of the most eligible bachelors. That's actually not easy to do. We all know that raising kids is not easy. I don't know what the percentage of parents who screw up their kids, but it's pretty high. So in that sense, what exactly is the dynamics between men and women in the United States, and why is it that all we want to do is get away from each other? And then when we get away from each other, we turn around and look and we try to figure out a way to get with each other. And it's a yin yang. We just keep going back and forth. And a lot of times we're missing each other, because when we come back into the dating game, we actually end up with the people who aren't very appreciative of the good ones. And at the same time, while we're doing all this the yin yang back and forth throughout the dating game in the United States, what you end up with is good people who ends up with bad people. And some of us are on a lot of people, especially a lot of these men who actually end up overseas, been on the sideline the whole time. looking at what's going on in front of them and just saying, well, I really want to deal with this. I have an opportunity to go overseas, and I've been to these other countries, and things are better. I was treated better, freedom. And you know, I kind of like it. I like it. However, for ladies, there are a lot of countries out there. There's a lot of countries that you would probably do a little bit better. Um, but no matter where you go, you're gonna have to check yourself. We have to check ourselves, but we're used to checking ourselves. That's just what we do, especially black men. We're raised to know that most situations that we're gonna find ourselves in, we're gonna have to check ourselves. That is the difference between the knuckleheads and the men who are successful. If you don't know how to check yourself, then you're gonna get checked. You're gonna get checked. And women, if you don't know how to check yourself, and I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna give you a country that it's black women and Hispanic women in the United States actually do are kind of sought out a little bit. And Italy is probably one of kind of messed up country anyway, but they do seek you out in that country. Um, they give 0 Fs about that independent stuff over there. Italian women throw that at them too. So they're going to look at it like this. You probably can't speak the language that well. You're going to show up with that independent stuff, and they're going to be like, you're no different than them. So I'm also did in Italian women. At least I don't have to struggle trying to communicate with you. And that's what a lot of other countries too. It's like, if you're going to do that, if I got to put up with you, I might as well just put up with the same crap from our own women. Russia's like that. I heard a lot of things, such as in Russia, they go out there and they do pretty well. And there's some other countries too, but I only research for men because I'm a man. So there are places that you'll probably you may get what you're looking for, but at the same time, you will get some points for being an American woman. So they feel that it's a refreshment from what they've been dealing with. So you might get a little bit of that, but you still have to check yourself. So in other words, if you go to another country and you feel that you're getting attention from what you weren't getting attention from the United States, because it's not impossible, it can happen. If that's the case, you better humble yourself. And you guys don't know how to do that. But if you did that in this country and you find yourself married to an amazing man because you went to another country and you humbled yourself, why couldn't you do that in the United States? Because the opportunities for women in the United States are very large. You go to these singles events and nobody shows up. You want to know why men don't show up to a singles events? You really want to know why men don't show up to singles events? Because the word is out. What you find there is often trash. If you're not trash and you was at the singles event, my bad. But the word has been out for a long time that what you find at singles events for men is trash. Have I ever been to one? We've all been to singles events. They're fun. Back in the day, back when I was in my early 20s, maybe early 30s, maybe, because I moved around a lot. And a lot of times when I went to another state, another city, and I did it a lot, if it's all new, especially back in the day, when the internet and YouTube was in its infancy, it's all new. So when you hear about something that you used to have fun with somewhat in the United States, and you hear that it's here, you want to go there. It's like you're getting it from this city and this state's perspective. So you want to experience that. And that same thing when you go to another country, you hear about a certain kind of event, and it's happening in that country, and you want to go because it's going to be from a very different perspective. And a lot of times when you go to these other countries, especially for women, you get to exist in a way that you couldn't in the United States because of your social setup. But at the same time, you probably could have done that in another state. Oh, and I get it. You probably see it as like, yeah, but it's all the United States, and I want to go to a completely different country. I'm not going to knock you for that. But a lot of times when you go to another country, you get to exist in a way that you couldn't in the United States. What does that mean? Sometimes you want to dance to certain kind of music, dress a certain way, communicate about books you read, places you've been, experiences that you have, that your social setting that you grew up with don't care about. And you probably sought that out throughout the United States, and what you found, it just wasn't up to par when you try to find your way. Like, you're not like everybody that you grew up with. A lot of times when you go to some other country, you're a foreigner. There's no way, there's no reason for them to judge you in that sense, because this is what they do. They're not used to just saying, yeah, people like that don't do what we do. If you want to make it about race, like, and you went to a place and you went to a punk rock concert, and you actually grew up, you liked punk rock, and whatever the case may be, or country music, and you see in one of these events there, when you go, you put on whatever and you show up, and then just like, you just roll with us. They don't even care. That's the freedom that you get when you get to go to a lot of other countries. You get the freedom of just being who you want to be. So the other thing that I kind of wanted to point out is one of the things that I said were very important earlier was resources. You're never going to be able to have the same exact resources that you had in the United States, because we have everything. We have access to everything in the United States. And if it's not in that city, it's probably in the next city over, or the next state. You know, one train ride, 2-hour train ride, you go get it and come back. Or you just order it on Amazon. A lot of things that you can order on Amazon, you can't order on Amazon in other countries. But women need a lot of access to a lot of great things. You go to other countries and the hair salon, they don't know how to do your hair. What you're used to, that little whatever you got going on in the chemicals or whatever that you're used to using, they won't have. So you're not going to be able to get that look that you've been looking for, that you experience when you go to other countries. Are you going to be, you remember that BMW drive? Are you going to go to another country and drive that BMW? A lot of times it's on a different side of the road. And I got to say, driving in other countries, man, there's a lot of countries I've been to, I am not driving. I'm not going to drive in. It's a lot of, a lot of things like that you're going to have to take into consideration. You may not like the food in other countries. But even if you do, you probably should learn how to cook, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're cooking for that husband. You go to another country, you're cooking for that partner. Whatever man you end up with, I don't care what country, a lot of these countries, all of them practically, you're cooking for that partner. And see how it go when you try that. Why don't you just cook your own food while you're sitting down with some ramen noodles to watch your favorite reality show? See how that go. You're probably going to end up packing your bags and going home because of how bad that situation will get out of hand. And you got men in the United States that are the kind of men that can get the best. You're mistreating men in the United States that can go to another country and get the best of the best in that town in which he resides in when he go to that country. I'm not saying that's the case with just the whole venture of men traveling, because it damn sure ain't. We got men who travel that can't even get the worst. Just keeping it 100, man. They, a lot of times, they're the ones who flood the YouTube channels. It's just reality. You're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to have that same experience. Now, are you able to, if you have enough about your stature and the way you carry yourself, to make the men in another country appreciate you and dominate them in a way in which they give you exactly what you've been trying to get. It's sorry, whatever kind of marriage. I don't even know the dynamics of what women expect in the United States, how their marriages should go, especially the independent women who say you got to make six figures, 6 feet and 6 inches. Um, that how how it's supposed to work. What kind of situation will keep them staying? I really would like to know that. And I've looked at so many YouTubes of women talking about this, and it still is not clear to me exactly what kind of uh, foundation that they are looking for that's sustainable for where they will just stay until they're old. All they talk about is situations in which, as soon as their looks are gone, they become irrelevant. Because what will keep you in a happy marriage once your looks are gone? There's only one thing and one thing only. Nothing else at all. And I mean nothing will keep you in a happy marriage once your looks are gone except love. And you saying what you're demanding, this money and height and this, you know, you know, manhood, all that, you not gonna that's not a field of men that you are going to be able to establish a marriage that's going to last throughout the years, way past your prime and your good looks until you're old and he's still kissing your forehead and looking into your eyes and saying, I love you. You're a woman. You can't do what we do. It's inevitable. I know that hurts and it sounds like I'm being mean, but I'm being honest. This is what Kevin Samuels was trying to explain to you when he says you are going to die alone, because you are. Unless you're seeking a man that you will build a loving relationship with, you are going to die alone, because there's absolutely no reason for him to stay with you. Why would a man keep a woman around that only liked him because of his assets? Not who he is as a person, his heart, his mind, his soul, his chivalrous, the way he rubs your feet, the way he joins in the kitchen, smiling and playing with you to cook a meal together. That's all right, babe. I got the potatoes. You know, still smiling, even though you're old and wrinkled, still got you. You think you think you're gonna have that? All he's gonna do is next you. You don't love him. Obviously, you don't. You're not talking like a woman that could be loved by anybody. And those are the women that are flying all over the internet, flying all over YouTube, bashing people like us who travel and date overseas. Those are the ones who are doing that. And they're trying to say passport cis that they're going to get that in another country, being who they are in the United States. You are out of your mind. You have lost everything. And I mean, you've lost absolutely everything. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. And I wish that I wish that I wish that more people understood what I'm trying to portray in this video, because it needed to be said. And there's no way to have a conversation like this without being harsh. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of times they're denigrating men who are amazing human beings as a person, and as a potential partner. For a lot of times, we come across dudes that, are portraying the kind of traits that we wouldn't mind marrying our own daughters, but they're older. And, and we wonder, you would wonder, it's like, well, if you're all this, that, and the third, how come you didn't find anything? Because we don't want y'all. We feel that the field is filled with landmines. And even though if we look harder and like really just like be on like a hunter, that we will actually find something. Um, and it's true, there's something out there, but some men just don't have time, and they feel that the options are a little bit better when they go to another country. Some go and don't like it, and they sort of go to a couple more countries, and they don't. It's just not what they're looking for, and they come back to the United States. But a large amount do go to these other countries, find what they're looking for in less than 2-3 months, and just peace out. I ain't coming back. We hear about them all the time, and I met a lot of them. And of course, there's also that factor too, that our money goes further. But stop saying that when we say our money goes further, that we get to buy our girlfriends or something like that. What I mean with our money goes further is the living. We get to get like really nice places, transportation and a food, insurance and healthcare. It's all way, way cheaper. And the money that we're pulling from the United States, especially retirees, allows us to live an amazing life. I mean, you got dudes just all they do is just kicking on the beach with their beautiful girlfriend, and just let the time pass. They can't do that in the United States, and they know they can't. And so, and can you do that? Women, maybe you could, but if you're saying that you're competing with men, I highly recommend that you not do that. Do not travel in hopes that you can just do what men do when they travel overseas. Um, especially, especially if you're trying to compete with men who date like all around. They just got like girlfriends over here, and they're living that kind of lifestyle overseas. And you're trying to compete with that. You try to compete with that, I'm telling you, you're gonna get it's just not gonna work out for you. Things are not gonna work out for you. I recommend not anybody do that. I recommend that you leave yourself open for great opportunities and great experiences that may be unavailable to you in the United States because of the fact you're in another country. Every country in the world has available to you a very different experience that you won't be able to get in the United States. Travel for that. Because as an American woman, you have the greatest country in the world for you as the United States. Once you understand that, once you've backed up and you realize that you are aware what you have in the United States, and you actually you're not naive, and you still feel that you can have a better experience by going to another country, more power to you. I'll give an example to sum up what I'm talking about. When I leave the United States and say what I'm searching for, what I want, um, I don't feel to seek it out in the United States anymore, because I believe I have better options when I go to another country. It's different between someone who left Brooklyn. They've been Brooklyn all their life, and they went to Colombia or Thailand. And the reason why is because I've lived in 17 different parts of the United States. I've been all over the world, and I've also been all over the United States. I've had fun. I've had adventures of some of the most incredible situations I find myself in, both good and bad, all over the United States for a long time. Uh, the 90s, the early 2000s, mid 2000s, the 80s, growing up in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm traveling with the Navy. Like been going to foreign countries since I was a teenager, y'all, and I know what I'm talking about. What I say, um, you really have to take it with a grain of salt when someone says, to hell with the United States, this country is automatically better. And they've only been to one part of the United States. They've only grew up here and never left. And I'm like, have you ever been to Wyoming, New Hampshire, Seattle, Phoenix, Vegas, New York, Miami, Atlanta, Houston? Have you been around? I have. What are you looking for? You know what? Have you ever tried this area over here? And also, I did some research, having a master's degree in human resource management. They got great jobs over there. Next thing you know, you tried over there, and within 6 months, you find yourself happily married, and with a great job making more money. The United States is not a complete hit off. Okay. It really, for anybody who's traveling, it depends on why you're traveling. You can't just go travel because someone told you it's great over there, not even asking them any questions to see why they travel. You don't know why they travel, and you don't know why they had that good experience. Because if you think you're going to have the same experience as someone else just because they're black, you're an idiot. I'm going to repeat that. If you think you're going to have the same experience as someone else just because they're black and you're black, you're an idiot. All right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I piss one of y'all off, but I'm just being honest. I'm sorry, it's just even worse if you're talking about two different sexes. Oh, well, if y'all can go to Colombia and get all these fine girls and everything, we can go over there and we can do the same thing. Well, no, you cannot, nor do you want to. Stay home. Stay home. I'm not going to get into it. I've never been to Colombia, but I know a lot of people have, and we got into some deep conversations about that country and many other countries. If you think you're going to all up in their faces like that in that country, you may not come home at all. I'm just keeping it 100, all right? But if you go for the experience, because I'm telling you right now, that is a beautiful country on so many levels. So many parts of, it's like you're walking through paradise. It seems like the locals don't even know what they got. Because if they did, some of the laws that they have in place right now, some of the problems that they're having, they would have probably like, flew out their homes like a bat out of hell to fix these problems, because if they just made these little changes, they could be bringing in so much money from travelers and all the locals. When a country makes money, everybody else makes money. That's just the honest truth. But that's what all of South America. Everyone's who's been to South America, I haven't, but like I said, I communicate with people. They notice that if they make these few little changes, it'll step up the GDP pretty high, because people with a lot of money will start to want to invest, and so on and so forth. When you see people investing, that's a good thing about that country. That means someone has stepped back and said, now they get it. They got some right leaders in there, and they're making moves. For example, a lot of people think that the closer and more relationships you get with the United States, the more that country's economy is going to benefit. Well, the United States has so much in the Philippines that we have a VA hospital there, military base there. We've been all up in the Philippines. They got a lot of business. I mean, a lot of the telemarketers, I know y'all hear them in the United States that are actually in the Philippines. They speak English. Then why is their infrastructure so about 200-300 years behind Thailand? It's because of the opportunities. That's a really controversial one. But I'm about to wrap this up a little bit. but I'm having fun with this. So I'm actually going to come back to this topic. And what I really, next time I want to do it again with y'all. And I want to get people on a panel because I'm having trouble opening a panel. That's really what I wanted to do. So the next time I do this, I'm hoping to probably do it like on a Sunday. You know, after the games, after the football games is over, because I'm watching my football. That's what I want to do it. But I had fun with this, man. I had a lot to get off my chest, and I'm glad I did it. But to sum it up, when I'm just putting it out there, y'all can't do what men can do. That's not me, or like, you know, we're better than you, or, you know, men, it's just that what we seek and what's available to us is dramatically different. We don't seek out the same things, and what's available to us is dramatically different. The greatest place for women is, you know, the Western world. Australia, like, why would an Australian woman want to leave Australia? Well, not, you want to know Australian women who get it. You want to know the country they want to go to, America, because it's even better for them. Australian women love of the United States. They get an opportunity to go to the United States. They ain't wasting one fraction of a second. And this is going to really be, is because, number one, the reasons why women are saying they can do better if they travel, that's actually true in Australia. Very true. I've been there. I saw what I needed to see. And the Australia that was dope back in the 90s and the early 2000s has been changed so much. You would think they would change their flag, because how can it possibly represent the same thing if the country is completely different? Oh, man. Well, I'm gonna peace y'all out, and I really do want to do this Sunday, and I'm thinking it's gonna be around like 7 p.m., around 8 p.m. And I actually not even doing the math in my head of when the games are gonna end and when they're gonna start. So it's gonna be after all the games are over. And right now it's 4:36 p.m. I'm in Germany right now. I'm in Dusseldorf, Germany. It's 4:36 p.m. So that's how that go. Because ain't nobody gonna be sitting here watching me stream about this if they could be sitting there watching football. All right. So y'all take care and comment away. And I know y'all got a lot to say. And I know that when I get y'all on the stream, y'all gonna have a whole lot to say. But my goal is to have, this would be a dream, to talk about this next Sunday and have Passport Sis versus not versus, and, you know, Passport Bros having a discussion about a healthy way for us to come to a conclusion about all the dynamics that we're dealing with overseas and at home. All right. And I'm gonna end it there. Peace out.